The Tongan culture and its people culture is a particularly important subject to understanding the nuances and practice of learning a language. Culture dictates the sounds, grammar, and themes of a language. The influences of culture are not always readily apparent and can stretch back thousands of years. Who are the Tongan people, and what are the unique qualities of their culture and language? Early settlement. The Tongan people and culture have many similar characteristics to other island peoples, and for good reason. Although oral tradition, the common transmission of history and legends in the islands prior to recorded history, give few details, the application of modern sciences such as linguistics, anthropology, and genetics creates a clearer understanding of the origins of these people. The first known people to inhabit the Tongan Islands are called the Lapita culture. This group of intrepid seafaring people are thought to have sailed from the island of Taiwan. The Lapita culture was a Neolithic Austronesian people who began populating the islands of the South Pacific Ocean beginning around 3,500 years ago. Much of what we know of the Lapita culture has been reconstructed from the material culture left behind and discovered through archaeology. Particularly interesting of the Lapita culture is the use of pottery and rice, because about 2,000 years ago, the subsequent cultures of the Polynesian islands abandoned the production of pottery along with its rice paddies. Like all cultures, the culture evolved over time, but the introduction of domesticated animals to the islands has been a steady facet of island living. The Lapita people arrived in the islands in outriggers laden with people, dogs, pigs, chickens, stowaway rats, and agricultural plants. The descendants of Austronesians settled a vast area of the globe from regions in the mainland of Asia, including Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, to thousands of islands like the Philippines and Polynesia. These people eventually sailed to such far-flung locations as Hawaii, Easter Island, and Madagascar. The Lapita culture is significant because it represents the early Polynesian expansion into the Pacific Islands. The Lapita are considered the ancestors of the Polynesians and Micronesians. These early peoples encountered others in their travels, which contributed to each group's unique genetic diversity and culture. Many similarities remain in the social and material culture. Chiefdoms and empire. Around 1,000 years ago, Tonga developed into a complex society, organized into chiefdoms. One of the most significant figures in Tongan history is Tui Tonga, who established a centralized monarch in a move of expansionism that expanded influence over other islands in the region. The empire had its seat on the island of Tongatapu, with the capital being Mu'a. This period is referred to as the Tui Tonga Empire. The empire is considered to have lasted until the 16th century. The Tui Tonga Empire was one of the most influential and powerful polities in the Pacific region and was ruled by a line of high kings known by the title of Tui Tonga, which translates to English as Supreme Lord or Sacred Chief. As the name suggests, the Tui Tonga lineage held significant religious and political authority, which authority was believed to have divine origins and powers. Under the Tui Tonga, Tongan influence expanded through the Pacific Islands. The empire maintained control over Tonga's surrounding islands and extended its reach as far as Fiji, Samoa, Niue, and even parts of modern-day Vanuatu. The Tui Tongan Empire was a maritime empire, focusing on long-distance voyaging, trade, and cultural exchange. During this period, the Tongan people developed more traditions and culture around seafaring skills and navigation. Tongan canoes, known as vaka, were renowned for their design and navigational abilities, allowing the Tui Tonga to establish and maintain contact with other islands in the region. Despite its decline from internal conflicts that eventually fragmented the empire into local chiefdoms and decentralized the political power of Tongatapu, the Tui Tongan Empire left a lasting legacy on Tongan culture. The institution of the Tui Tonga continued to hold religious significance. The noble families of Tonga trace their lineage back to this period. Tongan cultural practices, such as kava ceremonies and elaborate funeral practices, have roots in the Tui Tonga period. European contact. European contact with Tonga dates back to the late 17th century. The first recorded European to make contact with Tonga was the Dutch explorer Abel Tasman in 1643. However, it was not until the late 18th century that sustained European contact with Tonga began to impact its culture and language. In 1773, during this second voyage to the Pacific, British explorer Captain James Cook visited Tonga. Cook's arrival marked the beginning of more frequent European contact with the islands. As chance would have it, Captain Cook arrived during the Inasi Festival, an annual festival in which local Tongans paid tribute to the island's chiefs by offering large portions of their harvest. After being warmly greeted and invited to participate in the festival, Cook named Tonga the friendly island's due reception he received from the local people. Following Cook's visit, European traders, whalers, and missionaries started arriving in Tonga. The early European traders sought resources such as sandalwood and sea cucumbers, which were highly valued in Chinese markets. These early interactions resulted in increased interactions between Europeans and Tongans and introduced new concepts into Tongan society. Christianization and Unification. In the early 19th century, Christian missionaries arrived in Tonga. These preachers of Christianity were primarily from England and the Wesleyan Methodist Church. The arrival of Christianity to Tonga had a profound and lasting impact on the local culture and society, helped along with establishment of a newly unified Tonga under a single ruler, King George II Po I. Born in 1797, the future unifier of Tonga was named Taufa'ahau and nicknamed Lopa Ukamea, Iron Cable. Using charisma, intelligence, and military superiority, including European firearms, Taufa'ahau united the islands and the chiefs under him in an elaborate system of descending authority. It was during this period, fueled by the desire to keep his new kingdom sovereign, that Taufa'ahau turned to European advisors from the ranks of missionaries of the Wesleyan Methodist Church. In 1831, he was baptized a Christian into the Wesleyan Methodist Church, thereby solidifying the influence of Methodism over other competing religions in Tonga. Taufa'ahau took the title of King George II Po I in honor of the English monarch, King George III. Most Tongans followed Tupou I into Christianity, and Tonga became known as the Island of Christianity, due to the widespread conversion of the population. With consultation from trusted foreign advisors, such as Wesleyan minister Shirley Baker, Tupou I adopted a constitutional monarchy, which gave the Kingdom of Tonga instant international recognition and protection under international law. Looming pressures from such countries as Great Britain and France moved Tonga to become a protected state under British influence through the Treaty of Friendship. This treaty granted Tonga protection from other colonial powers and established a British consul in Tonga. Tonga maintained its independence throughout the colonial era and remained the only Pacific island nation to do so. However, its connections to European powers, particularly Great Britain, heavily influenced its religion, language, governance, and education.